A gorilla movie, swinging gorilla movie montage featuring clips from Super Simeon here in the Ball Troop from the Brave David and CNN, the Democracy Center.
These are the longest days of the year, which is why I'm so glad that they put the first course down right away. I know you're hungry, and I promise to be brief. I want to thank the members of our diplomatic corps who are here today, as well as our members of Congress, and all those serving across government who are joining us. And I especially want to recognize all the inspiring young people who are here today, many of whom I've put at my table. To all of you, and to Muslim Americans across the country, Ramadan Kareem. Now, our annual White House Iftar recognizes the sacredness of Ramadan to more than 1.5 billion Muslims around the world. It's a time when Muslims recommit themselves to their faith, following days of discipline with nights of gratitude for the gifts that God bestows. It's a time of spiritual renewal and a reminder of one's duty to our fellow man, to serve one another and lift up the less fortunate. The Quran teaches that God's children should tread gently upon the earth and, when confronted by ignorance, reply, peace. In honoring these familiar values together of peace and charity and forgiveness, we affirm that whatever our faith, we're all one family. Our iftar is also a reminder of the freedoms that bind us together as Americans, including the freedom of religion, that inviolable right to practice our faiths freely. That's what Samantha Eloff represents. She was determined to defend the right to wear a hijab, to have the same opportunities as everybody else. She went all the way to the Supreme Court, which I didn't do at her age, and she won. So, Samantha, we're very proud of you. You know, when our values are threatened, we come together as one nation. When 3 young Muslim Americans were brutally murdered in Chapel Hill earlier this year, Americans of all faith rallied around that community. And obviously tonight our prayers remain with Charleston and Mother Emanuel Church. As Americans, we insist that nobody should be targeted because of who they are or what they look like, who they love, how they worship. We stand united against these hateful acts. These are the freedoms and the ideals and the values that we uphold. And it's more important than ever because around the world and here at home, there are those who seek to divide us by religion or race or sect. Here in America, many people personally don't know someone who's Muslim. They mostly hear about Muslims in the news, and that can obviously lead to a very distorted impression. We saw this play out recently at a mosque in Arizona. A group of protesters gathered outside with offensive signs against Islam and Muslims. And then the mosque's leaders invited them inside to share in the evening prayer. One demonstrator who accepted the invitation later described how the experience changed him, how he finally saw the Muslim American community for what it is, peaceful and welcoming. That's what can happen when we stop yelling and start listening. That's why it's so important always to lift up the stories and voices of proud Americans who are contributing to our country every day. And we have a lot of inspiring Americans here today. There are Muslim Americans like Zaid Ahmed. As a Bangladeshi American growing up in New Jersey, he saw early on that there was not enough understanding in the world, so 2 years ago he founded Redefy, a website to push back against harmful stereotypes by encouraging teens like him. He's only 16. I think our youngest guest tonight to share their stories.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Arrahmanirrahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghayril maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amen. Ramadan Mubarak. It's the 7th day of the holy month of Ramadan. I am Hassan Rashid, and I welcome you to another episode of the History, Community Life, Diversity of Muslim Americans in New England. It's a great experience being here with you once again, and it's also a great achievement to come into your lives like we do here every week. It's the Right now, it's summer. It's summer. Last time I saw you, last time that I was out here, it was spring, late spring. So now it's summer. That's the summer solstice has taken effect. It's the longest day in the calendar, and it's also the sun at its zenith in the universe. That is the sun at its highest point in the universe, all because it's summer. Okay, so with that, I greet you with the ancient Arabic greeting of peace, and that is Assalamu alaikum. First, I'd like to start off the program with my condolence to the Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church in Charleston, South Carolina, and the site of a shooting. They said it was a hate-motivated shooting, but it resulted in the death of 9 people. And I send out my condolence, sympathies to, best wishes to the family, friends, relatives, loved ones of all those people affected directly and indirectly by this shooting at the African Methodist Episcopal Church in Charleston, South Carolina. Okay, I'd like to get back to the opening video. That was the video of the president, White House video. It was of the president, and he was the special guest. He welcomed special guests into the White House for iftar, and I explained to you what iftar was several programs ago about when we had a video about the different foods, international foods that are served at these iftars, which are the feast after the month, the days fasting. Muslims are obligated to fast 30 days. 30 days out of a month, the 9th month, which is Ramadan, the holy month of Ramadan. And today is the 7th, and at the first day of Ramadan, after the first day of fasting, first day of Ramadan, Ramadan 1, the president invited Muslims into the White House for iftar. That's the feast. And that's what the video was about. We're going to try to get back to it if time permits. Okay, but I'd like to read you a letter from the Islamic Society of North America, and it is on the subject of the president welcoming remarks at the White House iftar dinner. Okay, the Islamic Society of North America today welcomed President Barack Obama's remarks last night at the, well, that was the Ramadan 1 annual iftar dinner at the White House. ISNA President Azhar Aziz, who was among the attendees, said, "We appreciate the President Obama's remarks on religious freedom and our rights to freely express and practice." Samantha Aloof, legal victory at the Supreme House Court, that's Samantha Aloof, her legal victory at the U.S. Supreme Court has been an inspiration and a reminder to us all that we should never take our freedoms for granted. So if you're wondering who Samantha Aloof is, she just won a victory to wear hijab. That's a Muslima, which is a Muslim woman, headdress at the job site. The employer was trying to prohibit her from wearing her headdress, but it eventually wound it up in the Supreme Court, and she got a victory. She got the right to wear headdresses at the job site. So this is a national precedent now. Anywhere Muslim women on the job sites throughout the nation can wear their headdresses at work. It's law. Okay, so getting back to the letter, we also thank the president for mentioning the tragic death of 3 young aspiring American Muslims at Chapel Hill and the challenges of bigotry and intolerance, like the recent protests at the Arizona Mosque. We as a nation should always be united against hate and challenge those who seek to divide our country. We must also continue to reach out to our neighbors of other faiths in mutual understanding and respect. While President Obama did mention the continued genocide and turmoil of Muslims of Rohingya, that's a Muslim population of Burma, which is called Myanmar, that's a Rohingya, and they're also being persecuted by the Buddhist majority there. So the president did reach out. He did mention and continued genocide and turmoil of Muslims, Rohingya, the long and inhumane suffering of the people of Gaza, the ongoing armed struggle of Iraq, Syrian people against ISIS, and the instability of Libya and Yemen. We hope that his administration will also affect policy that will bring justice, human rights, and relief to these groups. So that was the Eastern Islamic Society's North America's president, new president, Ahir Aziz. Okay, so if you'd like to reach them at ISNA, you can call 317-839-1820 or 317-679-6350. Okay, that's a letter in regards to welcoming remarks to President Obama at the Muslims' first iftar feast after Ramadan. After fasting, first day of fasting for the month of Ramadan. Okay, again, the ISNA president, the Islamic Society of North America, issued a statement on the Charleston church shooting. Okay, so we're going to try to read some of it for you and present some of what the Islamic Society of North American president said at this in this statement on the Charleston church shooting. Okay, quote, ISNA President Aziz, quote, "We stand in solidarity with the African American community in Charleston over this horrific and senseless act of white supremacists, terrorism, and hate violence. People of conscience should come together to repudiate all forms of hate speech and discourses that stereotypes and marginalize fellow Americans, particularly minorities. It is also time for serious discussion about balancing between gun rights and gun control. Our deepest condolences go out to the family and loved ones of the 9 shooting victims. It is our hope that the perpetrator is brought to justice for his crime. We urge our members and supporters to donate to the church and the victim's family by visiting the victim, if you're able to donate to this church, they urge you to do so. Okay, so so that's I'm gonna just move on with this statement because it's about 3 pages and we don't have the time. Okay, I'm gonna move on to another condolence concerning the African Methodist Episcopal Church in Charleston, South Carolina. Now, this condolence was sent out by the Harvard Islamic Society, okay? And this is what they say. This is what they said in it. The Harvard Islamic Society extends its deepest condolence to the families and loved ones of the 9 victims shot in the Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church in Charleston, South Carolina. May Allah ease their pain and heal their wounds in this difficult times. Let us keep Charleston, South Carolina, our prayers tonight as their community and the nation recovers from this hateful crime. We'd like to echo the sentiments of the U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch and encourage you all to find local solidarity events tonight and see how you can extend a helpful hand in the months of giving. With best regards, the Harvard Islamic Society, okay? The Mosque Cares, Ministry of Imam W.D. Muhammad, mourns with the Emmanuel Church, AME Church in South Carolina. On behalf of the Ministry of Imam W.D. Muhammad, we extend our sincere, heartfelt condolence to members of the Emmanuel AME Church, their families, friends, and communities. Our thoughts are with you, and we are here to support you through this senseless tragedy. We pray God grants comfort to the victims who survived, and for those who passed away, forgive their shortcomings and grant them paradise. That's from the Ministry of Imam W.D., the late and great Imam W.D. Muhammad and his Mosque Cares mission. Okay, Muslims Iftar, remembers Charleston victim. Here's another one. Eradicating religious and racial bigotry from the community. A group of U.S. Muslims have planned to use this year's Ramadan to invite interfaith religious groups to iftar meals, offering them an insight into the spirit of the holy month. Because of the recent tragic event in Charleston, South Carolina, we will be devoting part of our reflections and prayers to that. Dr. Muhammad Salim Bajwa, president of the Islamic Society of Western Massachusetts, told Mass Live. Bajwa was referring to the tragic death of 9 people who lost their lives during a 17 shooting at the Bible study meeting at a 17th shooting at a Bible study meeting at Manuel African Methodist Episcopal Church in South Carolina. 21-year-old Dalen Ruth has been arrested and charged with their murders in what is being investigated as a hate crime by the FBI. All the dead were African Americans. The annual iftar meal, open to Muslims and non-Muslims alike, is planned next Thursday at the Islamic Society. The annual interfaith celebration will begin at 7 p.m. with a reception followed by reflections, a simple breaking of the fast, prayer, and then dinner around 8:50 p.m. Ramadan is the holiest month in the Islamic calendar. In Ramadan, adult Muslims save the sick and those traveling abstain from food, drink, smoking, and sex between dawn and sunset. Muslims dedicate their time during the holy month to be so closer to Allah through prayers, self-restraint, and good deeds. It is customary for Muslims to spend part of their days during Ramadan studying the Noble Quran. Many men perform itikaf, spiritual retreat, spending the 10 days of the month, the last 10 days of the month, exclusively in the mosque. Okay, so that was another condolence letter, or a letter of well wishes to those directly and indirectly affected by the shooting down in Charleston, South Carolina, at the AME Church, African Methodist Episcopal Church in South Carolina. Okay, I'm gonna turn closer to home here. That's the Center for Arabic Culture. Okay, we're gonna turn to the center, some information on the Center for Arabic Culture, which is located just a short ways from Cambridge. That's up in Somerville. Okay, the CAA, which is an acronym for Center for Arabic Culture, is proud to co-present The Widow, a reading and a play by Amir El Azraqi. Okay, that's Thursday, June 25th. That's at 15 Channel Center Street, Fort Point, Boston. Free and open to the public. The Widow is a reading of a play by Amir Azraqi, directed by Robert Fothergill, co-presented by Fort Point Theater Channel, the Joner Institute of Study of War and Social Consequences, the Odysseus Project, and the Center for Arabic Culture. So for information, you can jot this down. That's www.4pointtheaterchannel.org/widow. And you could call 617-750-8900. Fort Point Theater Channel is pleased to present the first U.S. reading of Amir El Azraqi, The Widow. The play had its world premiere last year as part of the Summer Works Festival in Toronto, Canada. The reading is directed by Robert Fothergill, a playwright, critic, theater historian, and professor of theater at York University, Toronto. Okay, so early registrations, all of CAC Arabic School begins now for the fall of 2015. So if you'd like more information, once again, on these plays and the school and what they're teaching up there at the Center for Arabic Culture, you can call 617-750-8900. Okay. So I'd like to, another thing I'd like to bring to your attention now, this is also something that's local, the second installment of Linear Voice, which is an invitation for you to come out and give input, offer input into how to end homelessness. Okay, they had the first installment today at the Central Square Branch Library. That was at 45 Pearl Street. They started at 11. They ended about 1:30, and they had issues on homelessness that were on the community's mind, and the community had the opportunity to get these issues off by expressing themselves and expressing what they thought and how they felt about homelessness, and they offered suggestions on how to end homelessness, etc., etc. So if you're interested in this, there's another continuation, which is tomorrow. That's Thursday, June 25th, 6:30 to 8 p.m., and that's at the Cambridge Community Center, 5 Callender Street. That's T. That's just right here in Central Square. So they're going to be providing coffee to maybe snacks, okay? I don't know lunch. They had lunch. They provided a free lunch, a light lunch today, and but I don't know what they're going to be providing. They have it down here that they're going to be providing coffee. So once again, that's Cambridge Community Center, 5 Calendar Street, T, right here on the T. That's a T stop. That's a coffee provided. So you come out, lend your voice, bring your experiences, thought, ideals, interests, knowledge, concerns, questions, hope, and hope to be a good gathering, and a lot of good ideas will come up, hopefully, about how to bring an end to homelessness right there in Cambridge, okay? I am Hassan Rashid, and you know, we never have enough time to do all that we intend, but we try to do some things, but it's never enough. But unfortunately, we can try to get to some of the things that I have in store for you in the months to come, episodes to come. But right now, I'd like to read you some of the, before we go off the air, I'd like to read you some of the Eid Mubarak greetings from different Islamic affiliates or communities. So this first one, this is the Eid Mubarak greeting, and it's from the Ministry of Iman Warti Muhammad Mosque, and they wish you a Ramadan Mubarak, okay? So that's each and every one of you a Ramadan Mubarak. Here's another one from the Islamic Broadcast Network, and they also wish you a Ramadan Mubarak, okay? And a little message here too I'd like to read off to you from them. It says, Ramadan Mubarak from the Islamic Broadcast Network family to yours. May Allah allow us to take advantage of such a great opportunity to get closer to Allah by accepting our prayers, fasting, and good deeds in this blessed month. Okay, so the Islamic Broadcast Network is charting a new course for American Muslim media, and we hope that you will support our important work this Ramadan. So don't worry if you don't know anything about the Islamic Broadcasting Network. You'll be hearing more about them right here at the History, Community Life, and Diversity of Muslim Americans in the near future, okay? Here's one more. This is a Ramadan greeting from Iman Shiraz Wahaj, Mana, Daiwan, and the Mana staff. That's the Muslim American network of America. I believe that's what it is. Okay, but anyway, here's the message to you. Say, may Allah accept our fasting, forgive our sins, and grant us great rewards. Ameen. Okay, here's another one. It says Ramadan is a time for seeking the mercy of Allah. Ramadan, time for seeking God's mercy, forgiveness, and rewards. First 10 days, days of mercy. Second 10 days, days of forgiveness. And the third 10 days, days of emancipation from hell. Okay, so that's from Iman Siraj Wahaj. Okay, so here's another Ramadan greeting from the Islamic Scholarship Fund. Okay, Ramadan Mubarak from the Islamic Scholarship Fund. We at the Islamic Scholarship Fund wish you and your family a blessed Ramadan. We ask Allah to bestow His mercy on all of you in this month. So, for some of you wondering what Ramadan Mubarak means, it means have a happy Ramadan, okay? And with that, I am Hassan Rashid, and always leave you with the fact that superior wisdom can never be subjected by inferior wisdom. So, until next time, I leave you with the greetings of peace, and that is Assalamu alaikum.
Because in Zayed's words, ignorance can be defeated through education. He wants to do his part to make sure that Muslims can be equal members of society and still hold on to their faith and identity. So we're very proud of you, Zayed. There are Muslim Americans like Munira Khalif. And Munira is the daughter of Somali immigrants. She started an organization to support girls' education in East Africa. She just graduated from high school in Minnesota. She's already lobbied Congress to pass the Girls Count Act so that girls in the developing world are documented at birth, a bill I was proud to sign into law last week. She's even spoken at the United Nations. I was also not doing this at her age. This fall, This fall, Munira is heading to Harvard to continue her education in public service, which was a tough choice because, of course, she was accepted to all the Ivy League schools she applied to. But we are very, very proud of you, and I know your community is as well. There are Muslim Americans like Batul.
Yeah, I'd like to interrupt here for a minute. One more thing before we leave you. The 26th Annual Muslim Convention, that's in Chicago. So if you're intended on heading out towards Chicago during the Labor Day weekend, I believe that's what it is, and attending this event, a lot of people from Eastern Massachusetts are there. Every year they go to these events out there in the Midwest. It's the 26th Annual Muslim Convention, and it's entitled Claim Your Inheritance and Be Mindful of Your Indebtedness to Your Lord. So for reservations, you can call 708-444-1100, or you can call the Ministry of Imam W.D. Muhammad at 708-679-1587, or you can send the email. That's WD, WDM, large case letters, ministry at sbcglobal.net. So that's the 26th Annual Muslim Convention. That's in Chicago on the weekend of 4th to the 6th. That's September 4th to the 6th at Tinley Park Convention Center. So I'll be looking for more information about that coming from our broadcasts.
Who was born in a refugee camp in Gaza. And when she was an infant, her family moved to Houston. After graduating from Rice University, she spent a summer in Gaza working with the UN Health Clinic. After seeing people line up whenever new stocks of vaccines arrived, she started Dunia Health to improve the distribution of vaccines and tell families when to come in, all over text message. They've started with Palestinian refugees in Jordan, but the program's been so successful that the UN is looking to expand Dunia's